Hello, our most valued student. My name is Confident and welcome to our 24-minute lesson. This is the ultimate guide in maths, science, career guidance, as well as a sneak peek in my personal experiences. This is a channel that is designed with you in mind. Let us dive into today's lesson. In this video, we are continuing with the ultimate guide for grade 11 mathematics, and we are looking at equations and inequalities, but in particular I'm going to focus on inequalities. So let's look at the inequalities part. We've done quite a few lessons from exponents, surds, and then the quadratic formula and completing a square. I will encourage you to go back to the previous lessons. That's where you're gonna get. So now what are we looking at here? Inequalities, a very important section which takes you to grade 12. And in grade 12 you are not going to learn about this. They will just ask you questions. So let's start with 5.1. How do you approach when it comes to this section of inequalities? Maybe before we approach them, let me lay a bit of foundation. One thing about inequalities, what I want you to know is to understand the number line, maybe, if I can say. So you've got a number line here, for example, like this. And then usually when you draw the number line, you'll be putting in or inserting the critical values. All right, this critical CV, critical values. For example, let's say here you've got x1 and here you've got x2. Now, where I'm going to, let's say my region that I want is between this region. So that is where I'm interested in. So how do I write the region that I'm interested in? You have got your what? Your x1, and then you have got your x2. So what you do with your x1 and your x2, so this is my x1, that is my x2, you put then your x here because you'll be solving for x, and then you just have that inequality sign. That is the region in the center in here. What about if I want this region here from this point going this direction and from this point going this direction? Now if you want that region, look at the arrows, look at the arrow, it's already giving me the sign. So what you do here, you have got x, that sign, and then you've got x2, and then on this side, look at the arrow again, you have x, that sign, and then you've got x1, meaning x is less than x1 and x is greater than x2. So these are the two possible answers that you'll be having. Either it's outside the region or it's within the region. So don't forget that. Now let us come back to the inequalities. I will refer you to this, but let's come back to the inequalities. The first one is this one, to say you need to solve for x. Here the first part, when you're given this question, is to calculate what? The critical values. Critical values. And to calculate the critical values, use similar what I did, quadratic formula. You can solve whatever you want, but I prefer the quadratic formula, where you are saying 2x squared minus 7x minus 4. First you equate that to 0, then you solve for x. And when you're solving for x, this is my a, my b, and my c. Remember, x is equal to minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. We have done this before, but I'm looking for what now? For critical values. So the calculator obviously comes in handy in that stage. So let's look at this. What is my b? B is negative 7. See, I'm not gonna, okay, let me just do the proper thing. This is minus bracket minus 7, but try it yourself also, negative 7 squared. So for x, minus 4a is 2c is negative 4 all over 2a is 2. Just try to solve for x for me there. So what will you get for x? Two values of x. Alright, so now as I said, let me try get the answers. Let me get the answers, not try. It's negative b bracket negative 7 right, plus square root of bracket negative 7 squared. You need to know this part, because once you miss it here, unfortunately everything will become wrong. Negative 4, alright, all over 2 and 2 equal to, the first one, x is equal to 4, play back, delete, negative, x is equal to 4 and x is equal to negative half. So x is equal to 4 and x is equal to negative half. What did we call this? We call these critical values. These are my critical values. Now, once I get my critical values, the answer is just nearby. So let's come back to the number, to this formula here. Now my critical values, I draw the number line. I'm gonna draw it just near, so because I want you to observe this. My critical values were like this, and they gave me what? They gave me to say my x is negative half and 4. So on the number line, remember the number line is going this direction and this direction, right? So the number line, x is equal to negative half is here and 4 is here, because 0 is in between. So the negative is on the left, the positive is on the what? On the right. These are my critical values. That's why I was solving for x. But the question says, let's come back now to the sign. It says 2x squared minus 7x minus 4 is greater than. So if I can come back here and say, let me write it again. They said 2x squared minus 7x minus 4 is greater than or equal to 0. This is what I want you to know. When you see the sign greater, anything greater than 0 means positive. Anything less than 0 means negative. Are you with me? So just keep that in mind. Then we come here to say, let's test the signs, test for the signs. So when you're testing for the signs, this is what you do. You think of a number here, you think of a number here, you think of a number there. You just choose any number. For example, what is a number that you can think of between minus half and 4? Don't choose the critical values, because it won't give you, it must be in between. Let's say we choose a number 3. For example, let's say 3 here. Okay, I'm gonna erase. Let's say I choose positive 3. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna come in here and put 3. I put 3, and then I notice what sign I'm going to have. The sign is what is important, not the number. So it's 2 bracket 3 squared minus 7 bracket 2 minus 4. Remember, I'm looking for the sign. I'm getting a 0. I was not supposed to get a 0. 2 bracket 3 squared. Actually, I'm supposed to put a 3 here, not a 0. 3 like this equal to, I'm getting a negative 7. It's just negative. What I'm interested in is the sign negative. You can try any number before 4. Let's try 2. It doesn't matter what you do, as long as the number is between negative half and that, it will always give you what? A negative. So I know here I'm getting what? A negative sign. So you come here and say I got a negative sign. You choose a number after 4 is what? Let's say 5, for example. So you do the same thing. Take a calculator, put a 5 here to say 2 bracket 5 squared minus 7 bracket 5 and then minus 4. What am I getting? I'm getting 11. You can choose any number. You can choose 10. Anything as long as it is what? Delete 10, as long as it is after 4. You have to notice what? Just notice the sign. It's what? 126, but it's positive. So we see that here, the sign that we're getting here is what? Is positive. It will always be like that. It alternates. If after a negative, you get a positive. So obviously, before the positive, there must be a. Before the negative, there must be a positive here. Obviously, but we have to test it. Choose any number between negative half. Let's say negative 3. Let me try negative 3. Any number as long as it is before is less than. So 2 bracket negative 3 squared minus 7 bracket negative 3 minus 4. See, I'm getting a positive. I can choose any number. So I think you have seen, if it starts with a positive, or in the center if you have a negative, you'll have a positive and a positive. So there are two possible options. Let's come back here. You've got two options that will be possible. You will have either this version here. These are the versions that are possible. You will have either positive, negative, positive, or you'll have negative, positive, negative. And you also remember when I said if it's less, it means negative. If it's greater, it means positive. Right? So you start matching now. You look at the sign. They gave me what? They gave me they gave me greater than. Here they told us this is greater than or equal to 0. So the moment they say greater than, you see I even indicated greater than means what? Means positive. Then you come and identify here what is positive, because whatever is positive is greater than 0. You start to see that I need answers there, I need answers there. And when the answer is there, remember you are starting from here going this direction, and you're starting from here going this direction. So where are you? You are now looking at it like this. In this, that's what you're looking at. Whereby if it's on the outside, if x is less than x1, x is greater than x2. But what is my x1? My x1 now here is negative half. My x2 here is 4. So that's how you write the answer. So the answer will be x, just like here, it will be x is less than negative half, like we did there. See that? Or x is greater than x2 is what? Is 4. This is the answer for that. That's how you write the answer. I don't know whether it's difficult, but that's it. Alright, try another one. Okay, let's try another one. I hope it is making a bit of sense, but if it is not making a bit of sense, let's try another one and try to pay attention now. I'm going to repeat the same steps because the answers are here. Everything is just here. Critical values, you'll get this either positive, negative, positive. Your aim now is to ask the question, is it greater? If the question uses this sign, you are looking for positives here, or you are looking for that part. If instead the question deals with this sign less, don't worry with equal to less. Less means look for negative, look for negative, look for negative. That is all what it is inequalities. You first get the critical values and then look for the sign later. For example, you see this question number 5.2, it says less than 0, which means we are going to look for either here less, or we're going to look for negative here. That's where we're going to looking for. But before we do that, we have to test and see is it this version or is that version. You see, there are two versions, so we need to first go through the critical values. Then it will tell us whether it's positive, negative, positive, or it's a negative, positive, negative. So let's start again. X squared plus x minus 12. I will encourage you to use the what? Here, I will encourage you to use the quadratic formula here to solve it, to solve this. Use the quadratic formula to get the critical values. What were you given? Given x squared here. It's 1x squared, and then it's plus 1x, I'm rewriting it in a way, minus 12 is what? First you say equal to 0. There is your A, there is your B, and there is your C. That is the way. But here, for those who know how to solve this, they could have just done this to say I can quickly solve it like this, is equal to 0, which will be x plus 4 Am I right? X minus 3. So your answer will be x is equal to negative 4 or x is equal to positive 3. These are the critical values. Just check again with your calculator. It must give you that. So my critical values, if I come here, back here, the key part is the number line. If I come here and say my critical values were what? Let's come back again. X is what? Minus 4 and 3. Negative starts and positive. Then the testing, you have to test it now. Why are you testing? So that you ask yourself, is it going to give me a number 1 type or a number 2 type? That's why you are testing. And when you are testing, you are choosing numbers. I always advise that in the center. If it gives you in the center a positive, you know this side is negative. If it gives you a negative, you know this side is positive. So start in the center, but you can, if you are used, you don't need to test. But because we're still learning, let's do this together. We'll test all the 3 sides. So let me write it again. What was it? It's x squared plus x minus 12. So the good one here is 0, because minus negative and positive, we have got 0. 0, the answer is negative. You see, it's negative 12. When x is equal to 0, you get negative 12. So what we do? Negative sign. Are you with me? You can try now a number after 3. Let's say 7. Let's try 7 here, and then let's try here negative 5. Any number. Don't put negative 3, because negative 3 is here. It will give you a negative. Okay, so let's try negative 5 and let's try 7. I'm going to do it once so that you can save time. Look at this. Starting with negative 5 is bracket negative 5 squared minus, okay, plus bracket negative 5 minus 12. Look at the sign. I'm getting 8, and 8 is what? Is positive. Now let's try 7. Remember negative 5 was there. Now here I'm gonna put 7. Here I'm gonna put 7. See, I'm also getting 44, which is positive. So you can see that these sides, they gave me 2 positive. It will always be like that. And then when it's like this, I ask myself, is it 1 or 2? So if you start with positive, it means it's 1. And if it's 1 that I'm looking for, the positive, negative, positive, that's what I'm having, right? Then I come back to my sign. My sign said less. Look now, they said less than 0. The moment they say less, they say go and look for the area for negative. On this one, focus on negative, meaning I must focus here. That's where I must focus, because less than 0 meaning come in. That less means check out the one that is negative. That's why I was testing. Then if it's negative, I'm here now. Remember I said when it's in between, this is what I said. You write your what? It says x1 and x2. So me, what do I write? I write x1 is negative 4, x2 is 3. And then I write x in the center, and then you do that, you do that. If they say equal to, that's where you put equal to. If they don't put equal to, you also don't put. They didn't put, I also leave it like that. Are you with me? And then in the previous one, it was less than or equal to, so you're also supposed to put less than or equal to. If I forgot that, please remedy that. So that is how you do it. Any questions? Okay, let's try this one. It's still the same. It's still the same. The aim is get critical values. After getting your critical values, learn how to interpret critical values. Don't just think I can use the sign that is given to write my answers. No, learn to interpret the critical values. Let's try this one. Now here, obviously, you open the bracket. You'll have x squared is less than 3x. Then 3 times 6 is plus 18. So you've got x squared, take that and take that. It will be minus 3x minus 18 is greater than 0. But now when you're solving it, remember, you use x squared minus 3x minus 18 equal to 0. Why? You need critical values. Save your critical values. So now if you solve, I'll prefer the quadratic equation because it helps you to make less errors, but if you're good with this one, it's still fine. Here I will have the factors of 18 is 9, I think 9 and 2, 6 and 3, so it will be x minus 6 and then x plus 3. This will give me that. So my critical values is x is equal to 6 or x is equal to minus 3. Where am I getting this? You solve for x, please. Solve for x. That's where I got this, nothing else. Then you come here. Critical values, x is 6 and x is minus 3. I draw it the same way. I maintain x is equal to minus 3, x is equal to 6. Why am I doing it? Before I focus on the sign of being greater, I first have to find out, is it a number 1 type or a number 2 type? So what you do the testing. As I told you, when you are doing the testing, you'll get experience to say, once you get the center one, the signs interchange. Remember this one became, but you have to simplify, it must be in standard form, and this is the standard form. You needed to express it like this first. So that is x squared minus 3x minus 18. So it's x squared minus 3x minus 18 is greater than 0. That's what you needed to do first. Express it in standard form and then you test. Remember I said negative and positive, you know there is a 0 in the center. When it's 0 here, this will cancel, this is negative, you see. So I'm getting a negative. So the moment, trust me guys, it's always like that. The moment I get a negative here, I don't need to test the others. Just do test yourself, but it will be positive and positive. It will always be like that. Remember I said you choose any number. For example, a number before negative 3, let's say it's negative 8. Check, it will give you a positive answer. A number after 6, it can be, let's say 15. Check, it will give you what? A positive answer. So you will have this kind of negative, any number. Even here, minus 3 plus 6, check with negative 2, it will give you a negative. Okay, you can test any number. I repeat, any number. So when you've gotten this, ask yourself, is it a number 1 or number 2? Positive, it's a number 1 type. Positive, negative, positive. Positive, negative, positive. Then you ask yourself, what does the sign greater? In other words, they are saying it must be positive. The answers must be positive. So you look at that region and this region. And when you're looking at that region, is this and is this. You can see even the arrow. Look at it. There is the arrow. You see that? And then even here, there is the arrow. Then what you do, you put the critical value. You start with x. You put that line, that arrow. And then you say minus 3. And then start here again, start with x. Look at the arrow. You put that sign and then 6. That is how you write that. It is what I did with this version. X is less than x1. X is greater than x2. There. X is less than negative 3. X is less than x2, which is, greater than x2, which is 6. Same. I'm not changing anything. I'm just maintaining my answer. Now, I just want to be careful. This is very, very important. When you see, for example, number here, you see a sign like that. What others usually do, they'll just say x is greater than 6 or x is greater than negative 3. That would be wrong because it's not always the case. You might get 1 mark for the answer. One of them might be correct, but it's not always the case. So I'll encourage you, avoid this, but test them through the critical values. Because when you do the critical values, it is where you can actually solve. The answer is in this part on the critical values. Alright. Now what I want you to do is take this one and do it as a homework. This is your homework. It says x squared minus 2x plus 1 is less than or equal to 0. Try it as your homework. I want to say it's 2 marks. You see, it was not much 2 marks, but what we're going to do now, hint, look at this. When you solve this, you're going to get x minus 1. Very important, x minus 1. More like you have got x minus 1 squared. See, so it's like x minus 1 squared is less than or equal to 0. Very important. What are you going to do here? It's your homework, and I told you, if you want solutions of such, what do? Check my Instagram. I've got an Instagram, and my handle is Quasi. That's my Instagram, and then you can take a picture, send to me your solution, and we can discuss it from there. I'll be able to also respond with it so that we can see whether is it correct, is wrong, and all that stuff. And then you can also check out and leave a comment on the YouTube so that others can also engage. Guys, it's very important. You can get it. It's 2 marks. Don't lose a mark on such. So now we've come to the end of our lesson. Guess what is following? The most one of the most that carries good marks, 6 mark. Simultaneous equations. Don't lose out. The next lesson is very vital. Don't lose out. It's simultaneous equations. We've come to the end of our session. Thank you.